Hello and welcome back. Now we started off today with dessert and we're finishing with dessert, and that's because Beryl's our demonstrator today and she's a sweetheart. How are you, Beryl?
Thank you, David. I'm well, thank you.
Now, what are you using and what are you going to cook for us?
Well, this is the 3 Ltr Casserole Lid, and it's a classic style which has the straight sides. It's a country kitchen which has a rounded bottom. This appeals to me for cooking cakes, and I'm doing an apple upside down cake today. And what I generally do if I'm doing an apple upside down, I just melt some margarine in the bottom of the pan, then some brown sugar on top of it, then a tin of pie apples on top of that. Okay. And what I like about it too is that I always use packet cakes at my parties, because I find for people who don't like to cook, it's much more beneficial for them to see me cooking with a packet cake, because I think I could do that.
Right, because it's one of the great things about Bessemer too, is it makes cooking easy. And so if you're out there and thinking, look, I'm really hesitant about, say, baking, for example, you can bake it really easy using a packet cake and using the stovetop oven as you can with Bessemer. Now, could you use any kind of packet cake? Doesn't matter what brand?
Well, I've got preferences, but I think
sure.
it's certainly, I like to use a butter cake, I prefer that. Okay. But if I'm doing a plum upside down cake, instead of putting the apple on the base, I open a tin of plums, Satsuma plums, take out the stones, and then just put the plums on the bottom of the pan, and then I often use a chocolate packet cake on top of that, a butter cake. But what I do, which is I think much nicer, is that the juice from the plums I then put into one of the 2.5 litre saucepan or the 1.6 litre saucepan, juice in, a little bit of sugar, butter, bit of corn flour, thicken it so you've then got a nice sauce. When the cake's finished, it takes about 25 minutes on a very low heat, on top of the stove. Put your lid on top. Now, I prefer personally to cook with my vent closed for the whole time when I'm doing a cake. Some girls have their vent open for part of the time. I personally like to have mine closed. So I'll cook that for 25 minutes. The benefit of cooking on the stove is you can actually take the lid off and the cake won't go down, as opposed to opening up your oven door, pulling it out to check on it. The cake will stay, and we've got a cake over there that you can pass across to me if you wouldn't mind, David, and I can actually show the people.
Now, what did you start with as far as this goes? Now, bear in mind that all of the recipes that you'll see on Cooking with Bessemer are on the website bessemer.com.au, but just run us through what you've got in the bottom of that pan.
Brown sugar and margarine melted, and then a fruit on top of that. Now, could it be apple? It could be plums. Apricots is delicious too, and what I do when I do an apricot upside down, I use the juice from the apricots in the cake mix.
So
that's yummy. And
She's
then cream on top.
Isn't she?
Now, this is the other one that has been cooking for 25 minutes. Okay. Sometimes it might take 5 minutes more, sometimes it might take 5 minutes less, but this is a cake mix, and this is what people have to are so amazed when they see. Even if you're cooking a cake mix in the oven in a normal cake tin, you don't get a terribly good rise.
I was going to say
this one
that
is fantastic.
I've never cooked a packet cake that looked like that in my life.
And some ladies at parties tend to think that you might have already put 2 mixes in there. So I like them to see that I'm actually only putting 1 mix in. I give that a little bit of a swish around so it comes away from the side. Now, you can use, if you haven't got a plate that's suitable, I tend to find that I like to use a plate out of your microwave. You need to have a plate that's as flat as you can possibly make it, so the actual cake falls flat like that. And then I just get a little knife like that. Be very careful when you're lifting it up, like so. And then if you've got a little bit of apple, that sometimes because of you're using your brown sugar mixture, I'd say probably 7 times out of 10 it comes absolutely straight out, but sometimes you might have the brown sugar might have been cooking just a tiny bit longer, and there you've got your apple upside down cake, which is pretty good for a person that may not be able to cook to save themselves. So you could have visitors for dinner and you could present that with cream. I like to put a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on top of that, sprinkle that over the top so we've got lots and lots of sugar, so it's not exactly a dyed sort of cake. And if you cut that, that is absolutely amazingly moist. Because when you're cooking it on top of the stove with the lid and closing it, you're virtually cooking it in a mini oven, as opposed to cooking it in your whole hot oven. Here, it keeps your cake completely moist.
Sure. Look, if you'd like to be able to achieve results like this, then get onto the website, get the recipe, and also don't forget about the amazing deals that we've got on Bessemer for you right now. Call the number on your screen and talk to the operators, and they'll run you through these deals. You could save hundreds of dollars on these Bessemer pieces and come out with results just like that. That is so impressive.
But that's only the very, very most unusual thing you cook in it. Most people that buy the 3 Ltr Casserole Lid use it for their casseroles, the lovely bacon mushroom noodle dish. You can do many girls who can't afford to buy a fry pan use it as their fry pan to start with.
Sure.
So they could do their eggs and their bacon, they could do some sausages in there. Cakes, fantastic, very impressive. I find that's all I cook in them, and I sell 3 litres all the time from the cake just coming out because it is impressive. But casseroles, noodle, anything with noodles, anything with minced topside, no fat, put your meat straight into the pan, don't put any fat in at all, and let the minced topside brown by itself. Make your spaghetti sauce. It'll do enough spaghetti sauce for 5 to 6 people. So the 3 litre is a really versatile pot, and the lid fits about 7 other items, which means start off with that first, then buy a matching fry pan, gourmet griddle, which does all of your little bits and pieces, more gourmet little things, and you've got your lid to fit all of those. And then as your family gets bigger, you can move to the 5 litre casserole, only have to use the base because you've got the lid already, and then that also takes a steamer, so you can keep moving up, still using the same lid, which...
And you can come to my home and show me all of this in my home.
Yes, I certainly can.
And show me how to cook a cake
Yes.
as perfect as this
And
on
easy
my
peasy.
own cooktop, not necessarily a cooktop like this. But
and I think it's amazing. People have to see that because they believe that an apple upside down cake made with a packet cake on top of the stove is going to turn out like a little flat pancake, and I think they're quite impressed. Some rise a little bit more than others, just depending on the heat that you're using. And if you're doing it straight away, this had to be moved around, but if you're just cooking it straight on the stove, 25 minutes generally covers it, and you've used the bubbiest bit of heat as opposed to an oven, which is on preheating, cooking for 40 minutes, which is another 20 minutes longer. Turn off the oven, left with a whole oven. This you turn on low, cook the cake, turn off, finished.
And you don't have to be an expert, but you can turn out with a cake like this.
That's right.
And all sorts of other things that you've just mentioned before.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic. Now, we have a finished one to have a quick look at as well. Not that this isn't finished. Now, remember, the recipe for this is on the website, so please check that out, bessemer.com.au, and you could serve that at your next gathering in your own home. That is so impressive. I've never seen a cake cooked in a pan like that before. And you do it all the time.
I do. And it's not that what's good about it too is it tastes good. That's why I like to do it at my demonstrations, because I could say it cooks a packet cake, but if the people are tasting it and then saying, well, I don't like the taste of it, I'd prefer to cook my own cake. But you can. If you're coming from a packet cake, the people at the party that like to cook, put their own cake mixture in.
They understand.
Exactly. But if a girl and there's many girls who don't like to cook, they think that that's a good way to serve visitors without too much trouble, and they haven't turned on their oven. And they've got their pan to use for another 10 things. You buy a piece of Bessemer and you can use it for 10 things. You have to get your value.
I'm going to have to stop you there, Beryl.
Okay.
You can talk all day about it. Very enthusiastic about it. Wonderful products. If you'd like to get some, you know how to get a hold of them. Call us or visit the website. Beryl, thanks very much
You're
for
welcome.
coming on the show for us today.
Okay, thank
Lovely
you.
to see you. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you again on
Yes,
another show a
you
little
will
bit
do.
later on.
Thank you.
And to you, thank you so much for joining us and seeing this Bessemer cookware and seeing the kind of results that you can gain from it. Please take up our special offers that we've got for you. Give us a call or visit the website, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye-bye.
This has been a 010 production.